The only contribution we can actually make that creates a difference is the emotional contribution we make when we communicate with people. People think sales is a game of force, but it's not. It's a game of attraction. And the attraction is really gotten by allowing people to have that credibility to say, this is not my job to make the choice, it's yours.
Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Plumbing and HVAC Hustle Podcast. And today I've got Joe Crisara from Service MVP talking about words that are persuasive in the sales process and how to use them more, basically. How's life?
It's going great, Tim. Thanks for inviting me here. I really looking forward to this historic event where we are documenting new ideas to turn new positive thoughts into reality.
And, you and I connected recently over Joseph Sugarman. You said that you had read his books. He's a great copywriter, and he really talks about the power of language. The quote was that we were talking about just a second ago: every word has an emotion attached to it and tells a story. The more emotion that you invoke, the more powerful your message becomes. And I feel
That
like
is
you've
true.
studied language.
That is true, Tim. I think the only contribution we can actually make that creates a difference or differentiates us is the emotional contribution we make when we communicate with people. So the
Mhm.
technical thing, everybody has. That's all the same. It's in a manual. It's written down. It's processes and SOPs. But the real thing is the emotional contribution to deliver that message in a way. Does that make sense, Tim?
Mhm. And so it's not just about the words you're saying, but it's the emotion behind it, the tone of voice, would you say?
It's a tone, the body language. They said that well, I think they say in the book, in that book, that basically 90% of the communication we have is with our tone and with our body language, and
Mm.
only 10% people listen to the words, actually. But I think there is the more we can emphasize those words with our body language and our tone, I think it does amplify those words in a way, Tim.
In your book, What Should We Do? You show how a simple, friendly ask for the sale can dramatically improve close rates. What are some other key phrases besides what should we do that home service businesses should be using more often?
Absolutely, Tim. Well, too many home service professionals make the mistake of thinking the customer is going to automatically make a choice just because they presented the options. But people need clarity and leadership in the process. So there is a way to persuade people to move through the process without forcing them or using fear, force, or threats. So some key phrases that I've used beyond what should we do, which is obviously the godfather of all the phrases I've created. Uh, Sometimes people will say like, I'm just having a hard time making a choice here. I wasn't prepared to make a choice, they might say. And I just say something like, well, John, just choose the one that feels best for you. This assumes the client will choose rather than if they're going to choose. But I'm telling them to, in a way, I'm commanding it. John, just do me a favor and choose the one that's right for you, right? So that's a really good one I would recommend. If somebody says, you expect me to do this today? I wasn't prepared to do this today. I would say, I understand, Tim. Just choose the one that's right for you then. Like that kind of
Mm.
shifting the focus on that part of it. Does it make sense?
Yep.
Uh, Another one I would use is, people shift the focus from if to when. So if somebody's like, I'm not sure what we should do here. And I'd say something like, well, you could choose to do this now if you'd like to, or you could choose to do it tomorrow or a later date. Which way would you like to get it done? Would you like to get it done now since I've got the truck and materials and tools and everything right here? Or you want to schedule this for tomorrow or a different day to take care of it? Meaning we're going to take care of it, but to move toward the time frame, to get them to make a decision on time frame, would be which way would you like to do it? To get it done today, or would you like to take care of it tomorrow or the next day? It's up to you. So what should we do? Uh, and then another thing we could do is make sort of an assumptive close. It's like, my motivation is to make sure your family feels cared for, respected, and supported. So, which of these options do you think is your favorite? Yeah, probably the third one. What do you like about that one? Well, it gives me the 3-year warranty. Okay, so what should we do? Let's go ahead and get started, right? Um, if somebody asked me, like, Joe, which one would you choose if it was your home? I would just say, it's a conflict of interest to choose that, Tim, for you. But I can tell you the premium option is more permanent and it has better service. The bottom option is just a quick fix for today, but we'll probably have to come back again and fix it again shortly. So what do you like more permanent solutions or like more temporary solutions in a way? As you can see, Tim, I'm always a believer in giving clients choices when I'm framing what I'm doing. But the good news is both choices I'm giving lead to getting the job done. Does that make sense, Tim? So I'm not giving a choice of no. I'm giving a choice of which way do you want to do it. Do you want to do it
Yeah.
now or do it later? You want to do the permanent or you want to do the temporary fix? Does that make sense? Or in a way, you're respecting
Yeah.
people to make the choice. Honestly, if you're a parent or you a loved one, instead of making the choice or disagreeing with your parents about something or your child about something, like my son, I would say, well, you got two choices. One choice is where you get the homework done, and we could have milk and cookies together, and we could go shoot some baskets and play some basketball. The other choice would be you don't do the homework, and then you got to explain to your teacher tomorrow why you didn't do the homework. And when she asks me, I'm going to say, ask you, because it's not my fault. It's not my education. It's your education. So do you want to explain to the teacher why you don't have the homework done, and have me tell her to ask you again, or do you want to just get the homework done and we can go shoot some baskets and have some milk and cookies? What should we do? Like, does that make sense there? So I think in
Yeah.
everything, I think the key to life, Tim, is thinking about what are the choices I can give people, because that creates respect uh, and trust because I'm putting it in your hands. I'm not taking control of this choice. You're making the choice. I respect you enough to have you make this choice, not me.
Still a lot of money chasing these transactions. There's still really good outcomes out there for sellers. It's good to have someone like us in your corner because we're not emotional, but guess what? When you're selling your business, it becomes emotional, and so it's really good to have an intermediary, there every step of the way. www.sfpadvisors.com. All the contact information is directly on the website.
Here's what I see, Tim. Marketing is selling the company and selling the relationship before the doorbell rings. Like, so there is an element of sales in it, which is why I think it's important that the marketing department does know the talking points that the sales department's using. 'Cause this way, it'd be easy to come up with copy. Like if you were to say a company for service MVP, or from the book What Should We Do, you would say something like in the marketing, it could be ask us about our pure motive service, or you could say where we always give premium, mid-range economy choices, or the call is free. That could be a
Mm.
marketing tag. Because if you knew how we're working with the sales process, hey, where you always get personalized, customized solutions, or the call is free. That would be a
Yeah.
great marketing tone. But you're learning from the sales team what they're doing, so you can take the talking points over there and put them into the marketing. To me, that's the biggest disconnect, Tim. The
Mhm.
marketing department coming up with their own talking points and the people in the field operating a completely different way of doing things than the marketing team is explaining. So I think most of the time companies don't connect the marketing team, the left hand with the right hand. They have to blend together, honestly, so we have congruency. So when you're marketing and promising something, the team is using the same talking points. But I do think it does reverse. I think you have the right formula, Tim. So I'm going to give you all the credit for this one. I'll just take a little bit, which is that the marketing team should study how the most successful salespeople are communicating, so they can reverberate and amplify those talking points that work with the general
Mhm.
public or clients. Does that make sense, sir?
Exactly, because the marketers don't always have like a homeowner in front of them and see their reactions. It's like
Yeah, I don't even know, I
when,
don't know how you even I don't even know how you do it. What do you
yeah,
sit there and like let me chat GPT some stuff, but
yeah.
it's not going to be relevant and customized to your client. And what you can't do is this, Tim. Like there's big companies like Gettle. You've interviewed a lot of people like Ken Goodrich and
Mm.
Leland, and people, you're like a who's who. And I mean, I wish I was a fly on the wall every time you go somewhere because you always meet so many interesting people. But
Thank you.
the interesting thing is that if you try to copy from like Gettle or Service Champion or some other big iconic company, it's most likely not going to work because their culture is not your culture and your people don't communicate like their people. So you just can't copy somebody else's ad because your team's unaware of how that communication takes place. So the most authentic advertising and the one that works the best to me is when we take the communication of the salespeople that works and we put that publicly before the doorbell rings to give people a
Yes.
preview of what they can expect before they get out there. Does that make sense, Tim?
Exactly. And two ways I've been recommending for people to do this is one, get your marketer into the sales meeting. Have them go. Have them pick people's brains and have them have a beginner's mindset. Marketers sometimes get egos. I don't know how, because we're not doing that much. But get into the sales meeting. I'm just kidding. But get into the sales meeting and actually listen and ask questions of how would you answer this and actually use the language that they're saying because they're getting direct feedback from the homeowner. And the other one is video content. I know there's a temptation to relegate that to the dusty corner with the intern, but what I'm asking you to do is scale your best closer. So if you believe sales, if you believe marketing is actually important and video is part of that, to actually put the best closer on video. So what I would do, I was just out at Any Hour for a tour. It was sweet. You should check it out. It's on our YouTube channel. Is I went in, we were in the sales meeting and I was like, who sold the most? I go up to the people that sold the most. I ask questions. I'm actually curious of like, what's doing it? What's different? What's happening? And one of them said, it's because I actually believe in the core values. All of that is good for marketing. And then if I could ever put them on video and say, tell me about why you'd suggest this higher end option versus this lower end option. And I'm actually going to allow them to speak to the broader audience. So I think it's just scary. People use the lowest common denominator in the company. They use the worst salesperson because he has the most time for their videos. And I'm saying scale your best closer.
I agree with you. I think that's a really great concept, and I am 100% support that directive. I think it's a great assignment for everybody. By the way, I also think that salespeople should be at all the service meetings. I think the marketing team should be at both the sales and service meetings so they can discuss, and even the office staff. What are they hearing from the office meetings? So I think the marketing team has a duty to listen because you're in the company communication business. You're communicating on behalf of the company or the owner of the company, and the employees are also communicating on behalf of the owner of the company. So wouldn't it make sense that all the people who are communicating on behalf of the ownership of this company would be on the same page and use the same talking points? I mean, let's put it this way. Conservative people have talking points. Liberal people have talking points. Different sports teams, like Mike Tomlin from the Pittsburgh Steelers, has talking points about it. This is the standard. He has a certain way of communicating the way the Pittsburgh Steelers communicate, right? And
Yep.
so it's important, like if you're a fan of the Minnesota Vikings or whatever team, however the coach is communicating, believe me, the team has been coached on the communicating the same way he communicates.
Yep.
Because if you're a loose wheel out there communicating something different, you're going to be cut from the team because it won't be tolerated on a winning team when somebody's communicating something different than the organization or the head coach is trying to communicate. Make sense there, Tim? So I think in
Exactly.
sports, it's a good analogy. They wouldn't allow it in sports if you communicated something different than the coach was communicating. The coaches say, here's what I'm going to communicate to the public. And you guys got to learn these talking points because here's what I want you to say when you're interviewed. Like that stuff's all practice. That's not
Yep.
like off the cuff there. Only teams that are not disciplined have their own talking points. But teams that are disciplined, we know what the owner wants, and we're working on behalf of the owner to communicate value to the public. That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Exactly. And so we're not just talking about words that sell in a more general way. We're also talking about how to find and mine the words that are selling at your company. Because if you attach yourself as a marketer, if your company has some closers, which hopefully it does, then you really just learn to find them and soak it up from them. And I'll tell you, you'll learn so much more about marketing quicker if you learn from salespeople because they know, because they're market. Just think about this for marketers that it's hard. Imagine they're marketing one-on-one with a homeowner. They're marketing every day directly to them, except they have their call to action creates money at the moment when the person says yes,
I agree.
right?
I completely agree. I completely agree with that. And I think even if you have a closers that may not be hesitant to teach you what they do, just listen to them. You'll learn by listening.
Mhm.
Don't put the pressure on the guy to tell you what they do. Just have conversations. You'll hear what they do when you have those conversations. Make sense?
Maybe you do a ride along,
That'd
you
be a great
know?
idea. Yeah.
And
Just like
that's the way I've learned about HVAC a little quicker than your average marketer is because I've actually like gone out in the field with people and kind of watched them, and
just just be Tim Brown and just just show up inappropriately and and do what Tim Brown does, and you'll
yeah, exactly.
on the right track. You know what I'm saying?
Insert yourself very unnaturally into people's daily lives. That's exactly what I do.
You
I love your concept.
unexpectedly do that. Yeah.
I love your concept of magic moments with homeowners where you use their name, you ask permission to share something, you compliment them for taking action. What are other ways that sales pros could trigger positive emotions and build trust more quickly?
Well, I think first of all, it's a great question. People don't buy with their wallets; they buy with their emotions. And trust and credibility are two of the emotions that we need to build, right? And so, the one thing that always works is to acknowledge the effort of other people about how much you could admire effort people have. So, when people are having victories or challenges, let's say your daughter's 16th birthday, or daughter's getting married and you're having the wedding at your house, you can acknowledge the effort that, hey, just John, can I just say something? Your daughter's so lucky to have a dad like you and a mom like you, Jenny, who are going to host a wedding in their home. It takes a lot to bring all those people here, and you're complimenting the effort. That's something that's always true, and it's more universally accepted. It's not like some phony thing because you literally saw the effort. Now, somebody had a tragedy or a challenge, like my mom just passed away. I could say, you know what, your mom was lucky to have a daughter like you who still loves her like you do, because a lot of times kids do not care for their parents, but you obviously have a lot of love, and that makes me feel good, right? Number two is, I think, give your client the power instead of you taking power and trying to close the deal. Let people close themselves. Like if somebody says, you know, if this was your home, what would you do? I would say, well, John, that would be a conflict of interest for me to tell you what to do. My job is to create the solutions, and your job is to choose one. But I can tell you the premium one, I'm going to be committed for 5 years on that one. The economy one, you'll be committed for 5 years. You'll take accountability on that one. So do you want to be more accountable, or do you want me to be more accountable in a way? In a way, I'm kind of giving them a choice between my company
Mm.
being accountable and caring for the customer, or you just ending the relationship and you taking care of the accountability on the economy one, right? But what I hope is like in a way they have the power, Tim. So I think people who are the most successful, when you see these, you probably heard, Tim, as you interview people, a lot of people selling now 15, $20 million a year, a single person who can sell 20 million dollars a year. Now it's possible with AI and with the Zoom presentations that we teach here at Service MVP and using Rilla and things like that. It's definitely possible now to close 15 to 20 million a year. The people who close that much would be exhausted if they had to push people into closing that much. Because I don't know if you know or not, but 10 million a year is like 200,000 a week. You'd have to close 400,000 a week and do 20 million. You could not push that many people into buying that much stuff. It needs to be something where you're able. It's like, I'm not sure the best way to put it is, but if you see the best professional athletes, they make it look effortless. Like Michael Jordan Like, can't somebody just knock the guy down? He's floating up in the air and he just dunks it over everybody. Like, Kobe Bryant and, Patrick Mahomes, they look like they're just lucky. Like, why is Travis Kelce always wide open? I mean, how come nobody can just kill that guy? He's so small. It's like because they're working at a higher level and they're letting the team work together and they're not, Michael Jordan couldn't win championships or neither could Kobe Bryant until he learned how to pass the ball better. And I think that's the same thing with this. We need to pass the ball to our client so they have the power, Tim. Does that make sense? I think that's the thing that is missed in sales. People think sales is a game of force, but it's not. It's a game of attraction. And the attraction is really gotten by allowing people to have that credibility to say, this is not my job to make the choice. It's yours. And if you also have like a highlight of shared value, like quality and reliability, or if you see somebody who has got like asthma or breathing machines or oxygen generators in their home, it's like, Joe, I know that I see that you really value safety and health, and I'm on the same page as that. That's why I did the air quality when I saw the oxygen machine or whatever kind of a thing, right? And then also you can help people imagine the future. I want you to imagine, 5 years from now, if something were to go wrong here. That's why we have that 5-year warranty. That's why we're gonna give you care, respect, and support for 5 years, which is why we did that 5-year warranty. So it's not just a warranty. The warranty represents care, respect, and support, which are trigger words that are going to work better than just saying warranty per se. Does it make sense?
So Rilla allows you to listen to it's an AI in your pocket, listens to the appointment. It's pretty crazy what it can do. It gives a script, gives everything they said, it breaks down some statistics for you.
Analyze talk ratio, interactivity, like how you and I are interacting back and forth, longest modeling, like all those things.
Honestly, this is the shit that I most believe in AI.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Enhancing the
You're
user
about to put
experience.
math and data around something that used to be my magic skill.
Perfect. That goes in line with exactly what we're trying to do. Learn these words, right? The words that work. You talk about attraction, but you also use tension. So it's a mixture of push and pull a little bit in the sales process. You encourage home service pros not to shy away from tension. In fact, sometimes even suggesting that the homeowner might not be ready to take action. It's kind of a counterintuitive move that makes them want to buy even more. What are some simple, repeatable phrases that help create this effect?
Well, there is no traction without friction. You have to have friction to create traction. So if you're trying to get somewhere as opposed to slipping, a lot of times salespeople feel like they're slipping because they gave the presentation, but now the whole thing kind of crumbles at the end and they're slipping. Email it to me is a good way to slip. I call slippage in a way, right? Traction is gotten by getting a foothold and getting friction, and sometimes the friction is needed, right? But getting the right amount of friction without getting people upset, that's the art of sales, controlling the dynamic without making the client feel forced. Sometimes giving them permission to not buy creates more friction than saying yes, right? Because sometimes I'll say, like, a good friction phrase would be when somebody's kind of on the fence. Like, can you email it to me and I'll call you back later? And I would say something like, John, with all due respect, I appreciate the fact that you want me to email it, and I'm just about to email it as soon as we select something, so I'm going to do that. But have you thought about the concept of just telling me no, that you're not interested in the job? Why don't you just tell me you're not interested if you're not interested? And the client's going to say, why would you say that? I'm interested. Really? What are you interested in? Which one are you interested in? I'm interested in the third one. What do you like about the third one? Well, it gives me the 3-year warranty. And I would say, you know what? Can I say something? That's the one I like the best too. So what should we do? Kind of gets back to that what should we do, earning yourself to that what should we do moment. But did you see how it started out? It started out by saying, John, why don't you just tell me no if you're not interested? It's okay. I'll still be your friend. No, I'm interested. Like, you're kind of getting that disagreement in a way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But here's the key thing. Whoever creates friction first is the one who's going to win the argument. The universe rewards people who take action, And so if you're waiting for the friction to be created, it's not going to work. You try to create too much, harmony, too much harmony. There's not enough friction to get traction. So best way to put it, Tim, there's no need for a solution if people have not really presented a problem, both the problem, technical problem, and the people problem. Like I would say this, like here's a good way to create that kind of the husband and wife. Like the husband's by himself, and you're going to sell him a $40,000 job without the wife there. That's not going to work. So in a way, you'd have to create a little friction there to be able to get traction, to get the wife involved. And I would say something like, Tim, how important is respect in a marriage? And you'd say, it's really important, Joe. Why? Because right now we're just about to disrespect your wife, Laura, by not having her included here. Did you want to disrespect her? You see how that puts friction on it now? It's like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to disrespect Laura. She's my wife. Yeah, I don't want to do that either. Why don't we invite her into this conversation so we could both come to a conclusion so she's included? Because it's very disrespectful for you and I to be talking without her being included. That would be a good case of creating friction to be able to create harmony in the end. You're basically putting out there the friction that's going to take place. If you're a salesperson, you should know how most of these calls are going to end because you've done 400 calls a year. You should use that experience to put some friction out there to let the client come up with an answer that would allow you to get the harmony you're looking for. Make sense?
Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of when you sell well, when you actually ask for the close or presume the close and you get it done.
Tim, let's do a little example. Let's do a little role play, okay?
Okay.
You say something like, Joe, I think I want to go with that third one there. Go ahead and tell me, Joe, I think I want to do that third option there. Go ahead and tell me.
Joe, I think I want to go with the third option.
Tim, let's pump the brakes here a little bit. See, that's the friction. Tim, let's pump the brakes here a little bit. Before you go with the third one, why do you like that one? Why is that one so good? I'm making you explain it to me now. Tell me why that's so good.
I think I just like the warranty on it. I appreciate it.
Here's more friction. Tim, are you sure we got the cheaper one? You didn't even look at that.
Yeah, I know that we're not going to go with the cheap one. I mean, my wife kind of gave me a budget for this, so I'm just trying to get it done. But I don't want to get the cheapest thing.
Are you sure, Tim? What's your wife going to say when you show her this option that you bought? What's she going to say to that? See, that's friction again.
She'd be happy.
I'm making you explain what's going to happen when we talk to your wife.
Yeah.
Instead of me trying to explain it, are you sure, Tim? What's your wife going to say when you purchase that one for your family?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And then I'm making the client do the sales. Make sense? By creating friction, if I make the friction first, the client has the harmony part. He's the hero. So I'm making you, the client, into the hero by creating the friction first. So the friction or the dissonance, the law of dissonance in a way, creates an environment where I'm inspiring the client to come up with a solution, not me coming up with it. I want my client to be the hero of the show, the star of the show. I'm the guy creating dissonance. You're the guy creating harmony, and you're the hero by doing that. You saved the day in the end. What's your wife going to say to that, Tim, Tim, what do you think your wife's going to say when we purchase a solution that's as large as that one, though? Because we do have the cheaper one. You sure she won't want the cheaper one? And then what would you say to that? Are you sure your wife wouldn't like the cheaper one, Tim?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she usually likes the more expensive one. So this is me finding a medium ground here.
Yeah. All right, Tim. So you're the boss. What should we do?
Yeah, let's go with that third option.
See how it sounds? Like it just naturally falls into place there, right? That's really why I feel like what I teach is the best. Not because I'm personally the best, because that method of getting people to sell themselves in a way is the best. What could be more committed that when the salesperson's trying to take it away from the guy, hey, let's pump the brakes there, Tim. Or Tim, you didn't even look at the cheap one. Or Tim, what's your wife going to say? Like, I'm kind of taking it away from you in a way and making you sell it to me again in a way. Does that make sense here? I'm reversing the sales position, so I'm not having to sell it. And by the way, how else could I sell 400,000 a week if I didn't do it this way? So I do know one thing, Tim. If you run into some of those top performers who are selling 10, 12, 20 million a year, this is what they're doing. Because there's no way that you could push people into 200,000 or 400,000 a week in sales. It's not going to happen because you'd be mentally drained and physically you'd be like a matchstick of a person at the end of it because you wouldn't have the energy to keep pushing people to that. Like every week, 200 to 400,000 a week, push, 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 push. You're not going to have any energy left over. You're not going to be able to take care of your family, take care of your team, and take care of yourself because you're just working too obsessed with pushing. So the salespeople who look like they are doing the most activity are most likely the ones with the lowest results because the client is not selling themselves. They're doing too much effort to sell people. Make sense?
I'm going to relate your tension thing a little bit to marketing for a second because we do a lot of videos, right? And one of the things, like you're making the homeowner the hero in your role play. One of the ways that we use that in marketing is almost like leaving something unsaid so people want to say it in the comments. So it might even be a mistake that's left in the video so that they can actually like try to respond with their correction. So they get to be the hero by being the corrector.
Some of the most successful marketing campaigns I've ever run, Tim, are run with that friction. Like I had a neighborhood in Gurnee, Illinois, where all the return ducts were like 50% undersized, and none of the second floor or rooms above the garage were heating or cooling. It was cold as hell or hot as hell on the second floor. It wasn't working. So what we did, instead of saying some kind of advertising to emphasize the benefits, we did the friction method, and we said a postcard. Listen to this, Tim. It's the most successful marketing campaign I've ever done in the history of marketing for me. Here's what it was. It was a pink postcard with black ink, and it was a Tim Brown method. Here's what it was. It was like, I just said these words. It said, the dirty little secret that your builder doesn't want you to know why the second floor doesn't cool in your home. Call for our special report. And that's what the marketing was. We had 600 postcards sent out, Tim. Guess how many responses? We sent out 600 postcards once a month for 12 months straight. Guess how? And they cost back then they were a 5-cent stamp, 15 cents on a postcard like that. Guess how many responses we got out of 600 homes?
How many?
423 calls were booked on that postcard.
That is insane.
I mean, if I told you can get even 5% response, you would freak out. Yeah. This is like a 75% response. Why? We triggered emotion and friction in the buyer, and we even threw the builder under the bus, because the builder let it happen. So, and then we had the builder walk into my office like, what are you telling people about me, the builder? I'm like, dude, we're just telling them the truth. You got 50% return error in the house. You're not fixing it. Everybody's complaining to you, but now our company's going out to fix it. So that's what we're doing. So I said, well, I'm going to take you to court. And I said, yeah, take me to court so we can explain to the judge how you put an air duct system that's 50% undersized. Because we know when something's right, it's right. Does that make sense? I'm not afraid of friction, Tim. I'm not afraid of it at all. And honestly, that would be a marketing approach that would work. So if you do see a neighborhood where everything's wrong, the same thing is wrong, you could do the dirty little secret thing, the dirty little secret as to what your builder doesn't want you to know. And that was a huge success on that one, Tim.
I love it. Thank you for being part of this, Joe. I really appreciate you sharing words that work in home service sales. I've seen people trained by you that just absolutely love your methods. I really appreciate you being part of this. Thank you to the audience for watching. Joe, where can they check you out?
You can go to servicemvp.com or and just take a free course, or go to Amazon and buy the book What Should We Do? How to double your sales and increase your home service business and dominate by making more profit as well. And just go there and get the Amazon book. It's like $25.99. Or how about this? Go to book.servicemvp.com, shop.servicemvp.com, and I'll give you a free book. You just pay for shipping of $9.99, and you'll get the shipping, $9.99. We'll ship and handle the book for you. We'll send you the free book, which normally costs $26.
Amazing. And appreciate you guys watching. Podcast is put on by hookagency.com and Hook Agency all over social media. See ya.